Hi. Contrary to what it looks like, it's not nighttime. um, I don't know how to say this. Well, that's a good feeling. In January of 2021, January 7th of 2021, I got married to a woman who understood all the same problems I had, who shared my faith, and genuinely seemed to have love and appreciation for the man I was. July 3rd or 4th, maybe. No, July 5th, I think. I got a text from her saying she had finalized and pushed through a divorce. No previous foreshadowing. She claimed she tried telling me. I don't think she did, but I think everyone knew but me. I was still trying to fix things, you see, because I actually care. December of 2022, my infant daughter came down with liver cancer. Now, we had already been having a difficult time. Fresh marriage, multiple moves, being around her family, and she's from a West Indian family, so from Trinidad and Tobago specifically. So that Trinidadian fire, and I loved it. I really did. And even now, I don't regret that decision. I should be happy because the sheer amount of emotional and mental abuse I went through is astronomical. For both privacy reasons and for practicality reasons. I'm going to be limited in what I can share. But I would document things. What little things she wouldn't bullying me into delete, I would document. Because if you're ever under abuse, it's important to start taking documentation. This isn't so you can use it in court later, though some people have done that. It's for your sake, your mental health. You could sit on those recordings, those documents, those pictures for ages. Tell no one about them. And just keep them to remind yourself that you're not crazy. Because the first thing an abuser does is try to convince you that your perception that you're the victim is wrong. That you're the problem, not them. That they're doing nothing wrong and that you're crazy, unhinged, or delusional. But through documentation, you can remind yourself these are not things you're making up. These are not illusions of your mind. They will try to gaslight you. They will hope you forget. They will talk about it as though it never happened and make you think you're crazy. But if you have documentation, now, not so much. Now, you know what you know. And you know what's true, because you can touch it, you can see it, you can feel it. Abusers don't know about that. Because they're afraid of documentation. They know that somewhere in the back of their brain, even if they believe that what they're doing is justified, correct, or entirely within their rights, they know that if anybody else saw what they were doing, it would make them look bad. They know they can't do it in front of certain companies. That's why their behavior will shift when people come to the house, because they know. They know the public perception, regardless of any excuses they've made themselves, is that they are the monsters. That if everything were presented exactly as it happened, nobody would understand how this is really not my fault. I know, because I grew up with one. A man who to this day loses his temper when confronted with objective truth and reality, and hates when your accurate portrayal of the path he's on leads to his own suffering, turns out to be right. This is a part of why I'm bouncing back from the divorce rather well. Because it's not the first time I've left an abuser behind, but this is the first time I think I'm going to turn into the skid on it. in every meaning of the word. See, you can fight tooth and nail and be the only one who cares enough about your relationship to hold it together. But there's only so long you can do that. If the other person doesn't care, or worse, is trying to actively pull away, doesn't matter how much you love them, it doesn't matter how much a part of them loves you, no matter how hard you try to remind them, what is driving them away or what's driving them to apathy is clearly going to still be there, because they don't recognize that they're the ones who needs to change. And you can sit here and change yourself all you want, set the example. But there has to be a point in time in their life where they recognize they're not perfect. And you'd think that the consequences of their own actions coming back to them would be it, right? That would be the line. Usually, when my own actions lead to me getting screwed over, I go, well, I'm not doing that again. Not true with abusers. They lack the self-awareness. They are aware enough to realize that what they're doing looks bad to other people, but not aware enough to realize that perhaps the problem is them. Whether it's fear, past traumas, ego, narcissism, sociopathy, which, yes, those last three, all different things. They don't recognize it. And they will train and ingrain these things in later generations. That's why there will always be abusers in the world, because for as long as abusers are allowed to portray themselves however they please, they will teach others that what they're doing is entirely normal. Nothing you can do about it. You'd say, oh, well, we could death sentence all the abusers. That wouldn't solve it. All you're doing is erasing documented history of what happens when you do it. Abusers always screw themselves over and then blame other people. And anybody with half a brain, upon being shown, hey, these are the consequences of being an abuser, this is what ends up happening, goes, oh no, I don't want consequences. And they'll try and avoid it. Even if they are already an abuser, they will try and sidestep that. And it blunts how far they're able and willing to go. So no. Let the abusers stay in the world. Let their behaviors be documented. Let people find out what happens when you abuse people. That said, I'm not done. I've survived worse. Like I said, my daughter, currently cancer-free, but she was diagnosed with liver cancer at 6 months old. And when we weren't happy, and I do mean we, because even though my wife's an abuser and was having a full-blown panic attack and meltdown for not feeling in control of her world, I also didn't care for this hospital very much. And I say, why? Well, I was in good contact with the doctors, but the doctors specifically in charge of our case stopped showing up after about a week or two. I started talking to the other doctors. I got along great with them, understood what was going on, but their nursing staff was negligent to my daughter. I've spent 2 months night and day in there. Hardly more than 4 hours of sleep at a time. And her alarms would be going off for hours for her meds, for her freaking feedback changeover. And when I go out into the nursing station, everybody's gone. And I don't mean, oh, it's shift change at X time. No, I mean there were periods of time where it's like everybody was gone. And they knew what her alarms were. They knew what she needed feeding. They said it was important to stay on top of that for her health. Nobody there. Hour would roll by, 2 hours. Her alarm's still going off, me trying to get what little sleep I can. Absolutely nowhere. So we tried taking her to a new hospital. That doctor, head of that cancer department, dodging us. Before we left, the doctors we said, like, hey, we want to transfer her to this hospital because we don't care for the care we're getting here. And they absolutely, like, oh yeah, no, we'll call them. That was 3 days. 3 days between when they said that and when we got to the hospital. Do you know what the hospital we intended to stay at said? They never called them. They didn't know we were coming. They had no idea what was going on. No conversation was had. I found that out because I had to take my daughter in through the pediatric ER. DCF got involved because the hospital we came from wanted to claim we were doing medical neglect while we were trying to get her to a hospital that would properly take care of her. Alright. 2 years. 2 years of fighting for my daughter's health, for her benefit, to make sure she got to come home. And my wife pushes through a divorce without talking to me, while I'm trying to fix our family after the case was over. And she also told me after she finalized it that my parental rights have been taken away. And she said something that frickin' blew my goddamn mind. There are men who raise children that aren't their own. Bitch, you took my parental rights away and don't want me anywhere near the house. I can't raise my daughter. You've literally done all you can to make me no better than a YouTube video to her. Another abusive tactic designed to do control. Why? Because she wasn't happy. She'll claim that I cheated. I didn't. I was forced to briefly stay in an apartment that she had in her records was the address of a female friend of mine, which I can assure you, even if it was, she and I are brother-sister. Definitely nothing happened. Anyway. No, that actually is sticking in my craw. No offense to you, okay? No offense to you. But no. Genuinely no. I know you're laughing too, so I'm not even mad. But it's like, what the hell? Anyway. No. Especially not in the middle of my daughter's cancer and fighting a DCF case. I'm not doing that crap. And the reason I had to is because, previously mentioned, other abuser was supposed to be. He was supposed to be the kind of person who could step up in my hour, and he was aware, he was connected. He was going to help me, give me a place to stay, close to where I grew up, where I had friends, connections, work that I could get. Also, they didn't take my parental rights away while we were going through a difficult financial struggle. And since he was already in contact with the guardian ad litem, the guardian ad litem would know that I wasn't in Florida and would leave my wife alone. Yeah, didn't take me in. In fact, had been gossiping about me to every single person he possibly could about how I was abandoning my family, making up crap that didn't happen, and refusing to help in my hour of need. Which goes against every tenet of the faith he claims to believe. Literally every single one of them. There is not a single one in that list he missed. All of them. Absolutely every single one of them. Didn't listen to any of them. Betrayed his own faith out of a grudge to me. Why? Because I kept calling him out on his abuse when I lived with him, and now, not so much. So I've been through a lot in the last 5 years. That's a major reason why the content here's been so hit and miss. But I stand by what I've said. I'm okay with retiring this channel. I'd like to retire it on an actual project. Don't know which one anymore. I thought I did, but maybe I should. Maybe I should just take up my whatever footage I have from my previous thing, just riff over it. Anyway. Riff alone. Ugh. Anyway. I could probably do it now. When I first started YouTube, no, not at all. I didn't have the charisma and confidence I have now. It's funny. You survive getting your infant daughter's cancer diagnosis, multiple years of emotional and psychological abuse, and then finally get the chains broken by the very abuser who's now taken pretty much everything, you walk that shit off. And if you're a good person, a kind person, there's no resentment, there's no anger, there's no need to punish. Living their life as them is punishment enough, to quote one of my favorite Red Dwarf episodes. That is their crime, it is also their punishment. Being assholes who would abuse and betray somebody is a miserable life that is its own punishment. I don't need revenge. I'm quite content to just let them make themselves miserable. I have watched it. No abuser is ever happy. They will continue to destroy everything they claim to want with their own two hands because they don't actually know what they want in life. Well, correction. They know what they want, but they know they can't say it out loud because it would make them the asshole. Like I said, I actually might be able to do YouTube as a Let's Play now. I think the problem is that I still hate, like, I have a skill for editing, but I don't like it. I could spend 2 hours to get 5 minutes of edited footage. 5 minutes of usable stuff after 2 hours of work, and I'm sorry, the cost benefit here, not good enough for me. That's a low entry point. Actually, you know what? Let's float this past you guys. If I start a new YouTube channel, where all I do is basically 5-minute clips for shits and giggles on whatever game I happen to have recorded, with whatever random bullshit humor I decide to put over that 5-minute span, would you be interested? Would you be interested? I've come again to ask for your interest. 'Cause I want to say it's that I don't care, but it's not accurate. It's more accurate to say I'm not invested in anybody else's opinion anymore. I care. I'm willing to humor. I'm willing to consider. I'm willing to interact with somebody else's opinion. Because I am an idiot. Simple as that. And you may say, don't call yourself an idiot. Like every other person who doesn't understand. Allow me to explain. I'm smart enough to realize I'm an idiot. Wise enough to acknowledge it. And insightful enough to realize it doesn't mean I'm stupid. We all have to be an idiot at some point. If we're not, we learn nothing. If you're never an idiot your whole life, you will learn nothing your whole life. You will spend your entire life stagnating and staying exactly as you currently are. Nobody wants that, nobody benefits from that. Don't be afraid to admit you're an idiot, just don't be a moron. Morons are the people who willfully choose ignorance. Want to know why being an abuser is its own crime and its own punishment? Because people who abuse other people for no fucking reason, and they have their excuses, but there's no actual reason. Again, excuses, not reasons. People who abuse people for no reason, morons. They're choosing willful ignorance. They will edit reality. They edit their own fucking memories to justify why they're okay. But they're smart enough, somewhere in their head, to realize other people won't agree with them. It looks bad. Abuse is a bad look. Unless they're surrounded by fellow abusers, in which case they will just cut loose. Because they know the people they have, if they're surrounded by enablers or fellow abusers, they know they can cut loose with no punishment. Because what are they going to do? They're not going to do shit. Since they're not going to do shit, you can be whoever the hell you want. It's not until your enablers and fellow abusers go, hey, if they tell somebody who isn't us about this, you're in trouble, that they suddenly change their tune. See, that's the big deal. I've known this because I grew up with an abuser. I know the score. It's part of why my abuser ended up running away. Because they couldn't break me. They couldn't get me to abuse in return. Not in any way that didn't make sense in full context. All in self-defense or proportionate restraint to the abuse that I was getting. Nothing they could claim, see, he's a wife beater. No. She never got that smoking gun because it wasn't there. I put up with her for 5 years because I loved the frick out of her. Even when she would do some of these things, I'd be like, she's clearly just a traumatized woman who is scared. She went through a scary time in her childhood, and from that point forward, she instinctually believes men are capable of immense destruction and will default to it if absolutely necessary. In fact, maybe not if absolutely necessary. I've met her father. He was working hard on himself before he passed away. He was a good man at his core, but he had bipolar disorder. And he didn't just have bipolar disorder. He mixed alcohol with his meds. So what you have is somebody who could, on a dime, over nothing, become incredibly violent. And I can already hear the people coming to her defense. Going, well, if you grow up with a bipolar... I grew up with a bipolar stepmom. I don't automatically assume women are capable of all violence. I've seen my stepmom do some shit. I really have. My stepmom fucking nailed it. She was immensely potentially destructive, but she got psychological help, took her meds properly, and changed her diet, and changes her meds as necessary. For some reason, she sided with my father, but I blamed Stockholm Syndrome on that. Because I don't think that's her nature. I think every single bipolar person who becomes aware, without a doubt, that they are bipolar, spends the rest of their life aware that their mind is not their friend. And while they will excuse themselves, they will explain themselves, and it makes sense in the moment. In those quiet moments they go, I'm the monster, aren't I? Everywhere I go, my mind is not my friend. I am the literal equivalent of Jekyll and Hyde. And whether they feel bad, or just worry about consequences, it doesn't matter. They spend the rest of their life fearing that. So no, some of them are great and want to help. Others, despite their own flaws, they want the help, they want to do right, and they want to get help, but it's hard. It's an uphill struggle. If there's one thing I've learned myself and through life, it's that self-improvement is a scary, painful, intensive process that is horrifying, but necessary. And then there's the other people who are bipolar, never get medicated, and slowly begin to convince themselves that they don't have bipolar. They're being gaslit by the world. Reality is gaslighting them. They're fine. They don't do anything wrong. Because if they admitted for even a moment they might have a problem, their entire perception of self would fall apart, and they can't have that. No human being defaults to my sense of self is up for self-sacrifice. The few that do, don't do that. No. Just no. Anyway, all of this is to say that I don't know what I'm going to be doing with this YouTube channel. And that includes this one and my others, because I'm probably going to be posting this on both of my YouTube channels, which is ADHD Writer and Black Chibi Don't Know. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. If I ever find a way back to the original Black Chibi Song account, who knows? Don't know what the odds on that are, but it would be nice. It'd be nice to be able to break into my old account, goof off on that. Sorry, just the test recording I did of Arkham City. Was it Arkham? Yeah, it had to have been. Might have been Arkham Asylum. No, it was one of the challenge maps in Arkham City. That's what it was. One I had gotten down to a science. Oh man, remember when I was trying to frickin' debut to Rez El Basso? That had to be like 16 years ago. I'm not going to stop writing either. I I don't know how to explain this. I explained it best in a short story where it's like I keep looking at Undying Flame, which is my current piece, and I'm like, you're gonna be so beautiful when you're done. And nobody should have to see you finish to be able to recognize how good you're going to be. But with every stitch, I'm worried that I'm gonna somehow stray from the pattern too much. That there's gonna be some kind of Achilles heel to the piece that just makes the whole thing fall apart. All by my own lack of skill with the pen, despite my passion for the craft. But the story at large is so beautiful, I feel compelled. And I'm the only one who knows it, so I'm the only one that can pen it. And every single time I'm like, I don't even have to finish this. I really could. Just move to the next one, right? Leave it unfinished. Tell the rest of the story through other means. But then everybody else would go, well, you didn't finish it. You didn't really. How did this masterpiece unfinished? What's the point of making an artistic statement if you're not going to make art out of it? And I keep telling people, like, I have a streamer's personality. I'm starting to accept that, especially now that I'm coming to my own. I have the kind of personality that goes well over the internet. Not because I am an especially fantastic human being. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Like that. It's because of crap like that, right there, what you just saw there. It's this willingness to look stupid while being intelligent enough to be in on the joke. I'm not clashing my symbol to go. No. I am a kind, happy, unhinged individual with insight beyond my ears, because I listen to people older than me, who's recognized that since the world is a dark and tragic place, there's no reason to be a dick about it. Yeah, life sucks. It sucks for all of us. All of us are miserable. But we get by. Not alone, but together. We form a raft out of our own broken and twisted bodies so we can safely get back to shore and flood the world with how crippled we are. Emotionally, mentally, physically, it doesn't matter. We're all fucked up. And that, right there, that's what it takes to be a streamer. But the part of streaming I can't get my head around, and the one I don't know if I ever would embrace, is this idea of actually getting an audience that large. I dropped in on Don Schnack's stream once, and I looked at how fast chat was going, and I'm like, look at all these people whose words, you don't have enough time to read that during the stream. You can't catch every bit of chat. And half these chatters aren't expecting to be seen. Half these chatters are expecting just shoot their voice into the void and be drowned out because they don't like the social pressure of being the only one there. And I get it. Others just shoot it next. They don't care what you think. That's fine. It's whatever. If they get noticed, cool, fantastic. But we're in this era where we can just kind of create these impromptu conventions on the internet. And beneath all the rabble and the chat, we have one person sitting on stage making a moron of themselves the entire time, in the best way possible. I don't mean to insult Don Schnack or anybody like him, but it's this willingness to step up on stage and risk looking stupid that not everybody has. In fact, I would straight say that the only reason abusers can do it is because they've gotten used to putting on an act. They're not okay with being made the fool of. But they don't mind pretending that they do for the praise and the fame. They're willing to take a little bit of criticism and negativity. Also, they can get that rich payoff of validation. That's all they want. They want the validation. Praise me. They do this. They do that. Like that. That's what abusers do when they try and get famous. They're like, oh no, I don't want your attention. Please give me more attention. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here going, hey-oh! Can like 5 of you give me attention and the rest of you just kind of sit quietly in the corner of the room watching us all banter? I'd appreciate that. It's not that I don't like all you guys. I'll rotate out which 5 I'm talking to next time. I just kind of... I just want us to chill. If I were to become a streamer, the goal would be less convention and praise me and more, I'm hosting a house party, you're welcome to crash. Because it's not about me. It's never been about me. My entire life hasn't been about me. Look, I'm starting to get crow's feet. I'm starting to get crow's feet. Like his style, it's just like crow's feet. I'm an old man. Look at that. Look at that. It's crow's feet. I don't even know if I actually have crow's feet. I don't believe it. After everything I've been through, yeah. It's nuts. And yet we come back to end this after half an hour, which it was supposed to be like a 10-minute video. This is why I need to edit, but I can't. Because I can't think of a single part of this that needs to be broken out, because all of it says something. I'm great at storytelling, bad at this. Can't be succinct to save my life. Because I got too many things to say, because nobody ever fucking listens. Look, I don't know what I'm going to be doing from here. But I'm not stopping. I'm not going anywhere, not really. Even if I were to close out this channel, I'm not actually going anywhere. In fact, knowing me, stay tuned. I'll probably, so none of you get left behind, however few of you there are. I'm not actually going anywhere. I'll leave an announcement, probably, of some kind, with whatever I have next planned. Probably with a really stupid melodramatic 90s joke. Why? Because that's who the fuck I am. I am the man who, no matter what gets fucking thrown at me, I walk the fuck out of the nuclear atomic blast going, well, I'm never putting a fork in a toaster again. Because that's me. I have survived worse. The worst thing that's ever happened to me was my daughter coming down with liver cancer at 6 months old. Firstborn child gets liver cancer at 6 months old. I'm sorry, but no. You can't beat that, especially because the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, is I got that diagnosis on Christmas. Yeah, while everybody else is home enjoying their time with their family in the winter of 2022, I was enjoying time in a hospital with family. Namely, my daughter and no one else. And there were no doctors that could see her right away, because they were home with their families. Best Christmas ever. You can't ever outclass that. That is the emotional equivalent of the saddest scene you could ever imagine. A father bawling at the side of a 6-month-old baby's bed with a softball-sized tumor in her, and not a doctor in sight that can do a damn thing about it. Doesn't get any worse than that. Pretty sure after that you become emotionally bulletproof. Because I'm fine. She's fine. My daughter is 3 years old, which I never thought I'd get to say, and she has no cancer right now. Done and done. That's all it takes. She's cancer-free and alive and 3 years old instead of 6 months. Everything else is fine. Literally, even everything else I could or could not do involving her, I fought hard to make sure she got the care she needed and she was in the proper hands. If anything, if something were to happen to me, that's something I could hang my hat on. My daughter knowing that I fought tooth and nail to make sure she got the medical care she needed, even inside a hospital that didn't want to take care of her. That for 2 months solid, day in and day out, I was there rotating out her feed bags, keeping her alive, because apparently the hospital didn't care enough to do it. doesn't stop me from potentially becoming a crappy father later, but with an attitude like mine, it doesn't matter how little contact I'm allowed. Becoming an outright terrible father takes work. I know, I've had one. Anyway, that got way too real towards the end. Short version is, hi, bye, and I'll see you with whatever next project I'm doing, because I'm gonna do something. I don't know what it is yet. I'm gonna figure it out, though. I'm gonna figure this out. Don't tempt me. Don't test me. I will figure this out, and there will be a new project. There will be some stupid asinine nonsense coming your way, because I don't mind looking like an idiot, because why the fuck not? And those of you who know me know, wow, he's swearing a lot. Let me explain for the people who don't know. I have what I call the freshness seal principle, which is the more you use certain swear words, the less they have impact. You break the freshness seal, and they slowly become less fresh the more you open the jar. The F-bomb is one that, it's not as potent as it once was. I've been pulling it out a lot lately. But I use it when I'm being real. How do I explain it? With the hard F and the hard K, it's really good for getting somebody to kind of put formality aside. I want to put formality aside and be immensely casual. I don't swear like it's a comma. I use it in appropriate context because I'm an author and I couldn't do it any other way. Even now, I was like, can I slip the F-bomb into that? It would be funny if I could. And it would be funny, but I just can't find a spot for it in that sentence. Yeah. And when you're doing that, as much as I love improv, I got a little mark on my knuckle there. I'm trying to, like, yeah. Like I said, I don't overly swear. So every single time I swear, it should matter. So let each F-bomb I've dropped in this matter. So those of you who know me and go, wow, he doesn't usually swear. Yeah, I'm going through a lot right now. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm determined as all fuck to get it done. Because that's life. It doesn't stop to match you. Here I am checking the time, because I got work today. Got my divorce report like fucking, what, coming up on a week ago now, I suppose. Yeah, whenever that was, about a week. It was about a week ago. Hey, give or take a couple days. And I managed to hold it together for a couple days. Fell apart on day 3. I had to come home early from work that day and then spend the next 2 days decompressing. And it's been 2 days since then. Well, 1 full day of work, and then this. My point is, you're going to be okay, but you have to be willing to look like an idiot to gain wisdom from it. And as long as you're willing to learn from it, willing to gain wisdom from it, life will go well. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure this is using my internal mic on my laptop. Can't prove it. Like to think so. Double check my audio settings. Maybe so. Yeah, it says so. It even says I'm registering on it. Hooray! But yeah, no, it's you have to be willing to look stupid. In order for you to learn. The harder you fight to protect your dignity, the less wisdom you gain and less honest you are with yourself. That's not to say you have to act like an idiot everywhere you go. Don't go out of your way to manufacture it, but be honest with yourself and those around you, and you'd be surprised how quickly you can learn and how much you can find out about yourself. Anyway, I'll see you around whenever I start my next project. We shall see what it is and how it goes. Yes, I twirl that mustache stressfully more. Yes. I'm never going to be that guy with the overly well-groomed mustache. The fact that I'm in low light makes this the hot rat's nest of the hot rat's nest of nothing work. It's the low lighting and the bad camera. Um, but we'll figure it out. Slowly but surely, we'll figure it out. I'll see you guys around. And just because I'm retiring these doesn't mean there's not going to be more to come. Not just on this, but any future progress. Like, I might still do the thing I said of sending a love letter to my poor Hop-Pug. If it somehow comes back to life, I'll cancel that, tell you guys, hey look, it's still alive, and then we'll be good. But, I don't know. I don't know if that's how that's gonna work. But anyway, bye.